The sands whisper of a journey across time.
I'm Joshua, and this is the Year of the Camel on an Ula FM podcasts.
The sound of Arabia.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Year of the Camel podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Van Alstein. I have with me Mr. Ahmed Gamal. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and welcome to our office.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is all ours. All right, let's get right into it, Mr. Ahmed. You're the CEO of Sawani. Tell me, what led you to this path? What led you onto this path?
I think it's a very funny story. I did not choose the path, to be very honest. My intention was I wanted to be part of the change that's happening in Saudi Arabia. I wanted to be part of what's happening in PIF. So I was having discussions with them to lead one of the new portfolio companies. And then after everything progressed, they told me, okay, we want you to lead the Camel milk company. And that was a big surprise for me. But to be honest, it was an amazing challenge. So I said, you know what? It's a business at the end of the day. It's very inspiring. It's new. You don't have the manual of how to do it. So that's an amazing challenge. And we said, you know what? Let's do our best and see how things will go.
Amazing. And so what was it about the camel industry or the camel milk industry that led you to believe that this was something that you really wanted to pursue? Was there anything, was it like the novelty? Was it niche? Was it something what was it that made you go ahead and decide to do this?
I mean, to be honest, it's the two things. One, it's a big part of the heritage in Saudi Arabia. So if you really want to talk about shaping the future in Saudi Arabia and have something that important in the heritage, that's very exciting. The second part is it was like a black box. You don't know what you're getting into. And that's very exciting for me.
So for you, it's an adventure, essentially. So you really deep diving into something that it might be familiar to you on the surface level, but now you're really creating the deep roots that are going to be essential for the people who will come after you, of course.
I mean, to be fair, I was not even familiar with the whole dairy business, but at the end of the day, my biggest portion of my career was in FMCG in the Coca-Cola company in 8 different markets. And at the end of the day, you learn that there is no difference in leading a business in different culture in different countries. Business is business at the end of the day. But the beauty of this one is you're building a business that's rooted in the heritage and in the culture of Saudi Arabia. And that's a big difference.
Which leads me to my second question. And that is, as the CEO of Sawani, you've been instrumental in shaping the company's direction. Could you share with us how your previous experiences have influenced your leadership approach at Sawani?
First of all, let me acknowledge that it was not only me. It's me and my leadership team. I truly believe in people, and without our collective work and thinking and effort together, we will not be where we are today. Talking about my experience and how it helped us in shaping this, I think the idea of dealing in different cultures, understanding how to build a brand with a different culture makes a big difference. Building a brand is easier said than done. Being related to the consumers in this market with this relevant brand it's not a straightforward exercise. So I think what I can get on the table for the team was dealing with different experiences in other markets, dealing with different cultures, and having the knowledge of building brands.
Amazing. One thing I wanted to ask you is, Sawani is one of those opportunities where you can express Saudi traditional, heritage through your brand values. Now, you couldn't do that necessarily with every type of sector, but this particularly does serve as a platform. Not only are you delivering people dairy, but you're really delivering to people's stomachs something as quintessentially Saudi.
Absolutely.
And so how do you marry the two? How do you marry Saudi heritage with business in this case?
This was a very fine line, I would say, because you have two options. One, as you explained it, is have the heritage and present it in a contemporary way for the youth to consume it and for the rest of the world to accept it as well. Or you fall in the trap of you're being limited because it's so much into the culture and no one wants to go back in culture and we don't want to use it. So, we dealt as a team and with our partners in the brand agency, how can we find the fine line between presenting and preserving the heritage of Saudi Arabia in our packaging, in our proposition, in our communication, yet make it appealing for the youth generation in Saudi Arabia, because we want them to consume our product, our brands, and to be appealing for other nationalities, because our mandate from the beginning was to go international. It was never meant to be for Saudi.
And so that's really interesting, because a lot of actually very famous people have been seen drinking some of your products or consuming some of your products. And
Yes.
so it has, apparently it's appealing to them. And so how did you get that to be so appealing to them?
I would not make a big story out of that. We're obviously very happy and we appreciate them consuming it. I think it's two parts.
Yes.
One, they really do care about the heritage of Saudi Arabia and they wanted to try what is that. The second thing is the product. The product is really good. And I think the team have done a fantastic job in presenting to the consumers very high quality product. It's not only about the health benefit, which is a lot, it's tasty.
Yes.
So sometimes you have good, healthy product, but taste is not that good, but you keep on drinking it or eating it because it's good for your health. This one is really tasty.
I'm addicted to the lavender one.
Are you?
This is the one I used to have a milkshake. Instead, I just take the lavender nuke.
You know that this is coming out of heritage as well.
I didn't know. See, I didn't know. I thought that was like something that you invented or that your company creatively created.
No, what is inspired with the history again, because in a specific season, camels eat the lavender.
Yes.
And that comes into their milk.
Yes.
So we came up with this idea from the heritage and from the history as well.
Very, very nice. So tell me about Sawani. What is Sawani? What was the inspiration behind Sawani?
I think
Because Mr. Ahmed, sorry, I mean, you could understand that camel milk's been has been consumed in Saudi Arabia for thousands of years. Why didn't Sawani appear 50 years ago? Why didn't it appear 100 years ago? Like, why is it appearing now?
First of all, as a business, it's very complicated and very costly, and that made a lot of investors worry about putting their money into this business because they were always looking at it the traditional way of cow milk, and that's very different. Camel milk, from a cost perspective, from a science perspective, is significantly different. So making sure that you are having a different business model has a positive impact on how you can position this company. So I think the insistence of the board of PIF, led by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, and the vision that he had that Saudi cannot have all of those camels and cannot produce and offer Saudis and the rest of the world good, hygienic camel milk. And that was the mandate.
Why is the government inspired by camel's milk? Why is that the direction that they want to take, or one of the directions that they want to take when it comes to producing dairy in Saudi Arabia and perhaps even, as you say, exporting this type of dairy culture internationally or globally?
I think it's like what you said. I mean, camels has been always part of the heritage in Saudi Arabia. I mean, camels has a significant role to play in the history, in different events, whether it was trading, whether it was unifying Saudi Arabia, whether it was the food, whether, you know what I mean? Camels are always related with Saudi Arabia. So it's one of those areas that Saudi Arabia can lead and present to the whole world the benefit of camel milk. And by the way, there is a lot of benefits in the camel, but specifically about the camel milk, there is tons of scientific proven benefits that will be very happy and honored to present it to not only the youth in Saudi Arabia and those who are consuming camel milk, but for the rest of the world. And this is an increasingly going on trend around the world, that even the Western world are seeing the benefits of camel milk now.
And so you talked about Sawani. Now tell us about Noog. Noog, and why the PIF and the Saudi government are so enthusiastic about promoting camel milk as a brand. And if you could tell us more about why the PIF and the Saudi government are so interested in promoting Noog, we can get the source right from the well.
It all started with their belief and their pride in consumption of camel milk in general. Okay, the problem was people were confused with the consumption of camel milk, and that is not really good for your stomach. And this is the matter, unfortunately, because it's not about the camel milk, it's about the unhealthy milking process. So if you do the same unhealthy milking process with cow milk, you'll have the same outcome. So this is something that we've been working with the government as well and the SFDA to prove to consumers that this is not true. But then all of a sudden, so you can talk about the camel milk with Noog because it's clean, it's tasty, and full of health benefit. And that's something very unique that Saudi Arabia can present to the whole world. As you said, a lot of other categories, you will find someone else in the world playing in that. This one is very rare. You can say that we're the only one who took it that far, and we still have a lot of ambition plan going forward. So it's part of this, the pride of my heritage and the pride of I have a Saudi company that managed to produce a product that is appealing for a lot of nationalities around the world.
A lot of target markets, a lot of different categories, a lot of age groups. I mean, I see young people just as enthusiastic about drinking camel milk as people who are very, very old. Those people maybe grew up drinking unpasteurized camel milk out of metal, bowls. But now you have managed to take the metal, unpasteurized, bubbly, ghubouk, as they would say,
Yes.
for the morning one, or for the one after the maghrib, ghubouk. And you've managed to synthesize it into something that modern consumers are familiar with. So what can you tell us about camel milk in general? So I think traditionally, I came to Saudi Arabia in 2012, and the joke was, let's take this foreigner to have camel milk so that he can have his stomach upset. And actually, my stomach did not get upset.
Really?
And then, so all my Saudi friends were like, wow, he has a stomach out of iron. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so, tell us about camel milk, and then please tell us a little bit more about this misconception that, camel milk can cause digestive disruption.
First of all, camel milk is very different than any other milk. And I'm not saying this because I'm leading this company. Before November 2022, when I joined this company, I never drank camel milk. I did not know that it does exist and we can consume it actually. But every day since, I'm learning a lot about the camel milk. And the camel milk, subhanAllah, is just a different product altogether. And I will not talk about the vitamins and the minerals and all of that. I'll talk about two important parts in it that are really unique. Any other milk in the world has two types of protein, A1 and A2. And the science have proven that A1 is the one that makes your stomach a bit sensitive. And that's why, people are relating it to lactose, but it's not really only lactose, it's the A1 as well. And there is a lot of R&D happening in the cow milk now. How can they separate the two types of protein? The camel milk, all of it is A2. It doesn't have any A1. And that's why, proven scientifically, any person on earth 1 year old and above can drink camel milk safely and will not have any of those feelings in the stomach. So this is the first big one for us. The second one is the lactoferrin. Lactoferrin is a chemical in any milk that helps you with your immunity. And during the corona times, a lot of wealthy people were taking one pill, cost, I don't know, $10,000 or whatever, which is lactoferrin. The amount of lactoferrin in camel milk is at least 20 times what is there in any other milk. So it's a significant one as well. Plus all the other health benefits.
Well, just a little bit of knowledge and history would make you think that obviously I mean, something's wrong with the process because people have been relying on it for thousands of years.
Exactly.
And so it would be so silly to believe that people would be milking these camels and then expecting a stomach ache all day long. And do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is, I think, if you really just, you know, even you don't have to go into the science, just a little bit of logic, a little bit of common sense. I think people would have been able to come to this.
And people were absolutely healthy. And you have a lot of people who are keep on drinking, and you find them like 90 and 100 years old, and they are very healthy.
Yes.
And this is coming because, honestly, it is a superfood. We can call it in those days terms. It is a superfood, and it's a natural superfood. It's not something that we have manufactured. So it's impressive on what hand. Back to the myth, unfortunately, is because of the milking process. The milking process, when you think about it, you're having a lot of microbes with the milk. Actually, in fact, I forgot the number now, but it's in millions. You're drinking microbes with milk. So guess what's going to happen? In your case, if your stomach was not upset, most probably the milking process was much more cleaner than the common one.
Yes.
You know, the guys were taking care of the process in a better way. But it's simple. It's either you have microbes with the milk and that's what's happened, or not. And in our process, we make sure that we remove the microbes before consumer consume it.
Pasteurization.
Pasteurization at a specific time, as a specific heat, to make sure that all the components and the benefits of the camel milk remains.
Tell us, when it comes to the economic impact of camel milk, I mean, we cannot overstate the fact that literally the Arabian Peninsula, from Morocco to Iraq into Central Asia, actually into Western China.
Exactly.
Even in the Andes, by the way, I mean, the camelids, the different animal, but, you know, closely related to the camels. People have been relying on camel milk for 5,000-6,000 years. I mean, people knew how to milk camels in the Arabian Peninsula before they knew how to grow tomatoes, before they knew how to grow beans, before they knew how to grow squash, before they grew, you know, a lot of the quote-unquote traditional ingredients that we consider so much from the Saudi kitchen. A lot of that was completely very, very, very unknown. And so we understand that camel milk played a very long, traditional, historical, you know, role in the heritage and in the dietary needs of Saudis. But what about its impact for the Saudi economy in the future?
Brilliant. I'll go a step back and I'll talk about the vision of PIF creating those portfolio companies. So when PIF is creating one of those companies, they're trying to activate a new sector in the economy that has a positive impact on the rest of the economy. And they're not trying to create those companies to go and compete with the existing company, because there is no value for the economy. You're just draining or taking value out of the economy. So our company, Sawani, like other PIF companies, will have an impact on throughout our value chain. So I'll start with the farms. You're building a farm. So you're dealing with construction, with design, with consultants to make sure that this is happening the right way. We are dealing with companies to make sure that we have wells and have enough water for our camel. We're dealing with water cleaning and recycling facilities. We're dealing with
farms to produce food for the camels and then produce medicine for the camels, veterinary assistance. Wow, when you look at it that way, it's huge impact.
Throughout our value chain, you know what I mean? So
very valuable value chain.
And now we have a new thought that we're doing in Saudi. We realized that there is a lot of camel owners who have camels, and one generation after the other, they are very proud to own the camels, but the younger generation started to see camels as a burden. I'm spending a lot of money feeding them on the vet requirements, the time. And honestly, when they are milked, because you have to milk them, we don't know what to do with the milk, so we throw it away. So instead of us going and saying, okay, let's buy your camels, and this is something against what people would like to keep their camels, I said, you know what? Any camel that's lactating, which means it has milk, we'll take the camel, put it in our farm, we'll feed the camel, which is removing the cost from you. We'll take, from a vet perspective, everything that has to do with the camel, which is another cost. And actually, we have the best vets in the world that deal with camels. And whatever milk that it comes, we're going to buy it from.
Camel co-signing.
Exactly.
Wow.
And by doing that, we're trying to, pay back to the community in Saudi. And we're trying to really get camel owners to continue being proud of owning their camels. But at the same time, we're helping them out with the cost, specifically during the lactating period, there is a benefit for our company as well.
How long is that period?
Usually it's 12 months.
So they're lactating the whole year.
Yes, but there are other 2 years where it stays pregnant for a year, and getting the camel to be pregnant will take a few months as well. So let's say 2 years dry, no milk, and 1 year with milk. So we're trying to create this value and give back to the community as well. And obviously, there is a benefit for the Sawani company of doing this. So even this one as well, we're adding an economic impact on the camel owners. Then you go to our manufacturing. So we're having our packaging, we're having our stores, we're having our distribution. So this is another impact on the economy as well. We're hiring our colleagues and our team members, which is another impact on the economy. So yes, we're not the biggest in the impact on the economy of Saudi, but we're one of those who are putting enough fingerprint in that.
Well, I mean, especially if you are, planning and you already are exporting culturally this idea, but when you fully revamp the opportunity that the international market is going to have a huge thirst for camel milk, as you said. I mean, it's wanted all over the world. During the Corona crisis, we saw a lot of people leaning towards more natural ways of kind of building their immunity, and camel milk was one of the suggested strategies in doing that. And the FAO also has encouraged camel milk consumption as a more sustainable alternative to milk derived from bovines,
Correct.
Meaning cows and sheep and animals that are related to cows and sheep. What can you say about that? Is the FAO onto something?
Obviously the FAO has all the scientific facts, so they understand really the value of offering camel milk, the offering that camel milk can give to consumers. The challenge was always, can we have enough in hygienic way to offer for consumers around?
Could we scale it in an economically valuable,
Exactly,
in an economic valuable way that's not going to harm people's health? Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's the story that I wanted to tell you about. So a few weeks before Eid holidays, we were in Rome in the UN, and there was a celebration for the Year of Camel. Internationally, it was the FAO and Saudi doing this activation in the UN in Rome, and we had His Royal Highness the Ambassador of Saudi in Italy and the President of FAO opening this event. So we had few of companies that's dealing in the camel milk, and we were there as well. You cannot imagine the queue that we had for our booth, trying our products, specifically the gelato, in Italy.
In Italy.
Okay? And half of them were Italian. For 4 days, every day at 5 p.m., we were apologizing for a lot of people that we have to stop. And please come the following day. Honestly, that was the best proof that the products and the brands that we developed here in Saudi is highly appreciated with international consumers. Because in the UN you had all the nationalities. Yes, a lot of them were Italian because we were Rome, but it shows you the appreciation and how different and unique our products and our brands is. And this idea that no, the Western world has better abilities to develop products and brands than us is a myth. Because here you go. This is produced, 80% of our colleagues in Sawani are Saudis. So it is developed with Saudis' caliber. And we developed an amazing brand and an amazing product. Yes, we have a few of international employees as well here, but obviously we're here to help with our expertise. But this is a Saudi project. Seeing it out there, everybody was extremely proud of what's happening. And the question was, when are you going to be in Italy? Okay, hold your horses.
Hold your camels.
We have a bit of homework, but obviously we're getting into this expansion phase very soon.
There's so much I want to ask, actually. I wanted to ask, is there one type of camel that's being milked for Sawani products? Like, so, there's like a few colors. There's like 4 main colors.
Yes.
Mijham, which is the black one. And then you have, Shagra, and then you have Al-Humar, the white one. And so, like, does that play a role in your camel selection for the camel dairy, the camel milk?
So first of all, each one of those breeds their milk has a different characteristics. If that makes sense. One, like Majahim, will produce a lot. The other one will be sweeter, and so on. So to be able to sustain, you cannot depend on one breed. So when we were creating our formula, it was a mix of those. So you can really expand and scale this business going forward. If you really want to make it that narrow, then you're putting an obstacle for this business to grow.
But so the deep web is arguing and saying that Sawani has a super dairy camel, or that they're breeding their own Sawani camel, and they are, they are using, I don't want to say genetic enhancement, like laboratory genetic enhancement. Traditional animal husbandry is always a type of genetic enhancement. But the Sawani is going to come up with their own camel that's like very optimal for dairy production.
Fair. Okay, so first of all,
is that happening?
It is happening, but it's not the only thing happening.
Oh, so the deep web was right.
As I told you, the idea of making sure that we're offering to get milk from all camel owners will be an opposite of this idea. So we're doing both.
You're right, yes.
But we're trying to as well, and actually we're partnering with the Ministry of Water and Agriculture on this, understanding the DNA of different types of camels. Because when you go into the DNA, you'll try to understand which elements in it has impacted this breed to be better in milk, or better in beauty, or better in a race, or you know what I mean, or better in meat production.
Yes,
there is a lot of homework that's not done yet.
Yes,
and one of it because people were not collaborating to give samples of their camel DNA to be tested.
Yes.
But now, because we have access on more and more camels, and our partnership with the Ministry of MIWA, we're working together on this. So we're increasing the sample size, which will give better indication and better readings for those criteria. And obviously that will help in understanding. So this is one angle. The second angle is the feed. We're doing a lot of tests
on feed
because it has a direct impact on the quality of milk and the taste of milk, the type of levels of protein in it, and all of that. So going into understanding or creating a Sawani breed, eventually we'll reach there, which is this is the ideal breed for milk production. And we're working. There is a lot of science in that space as well, and unfortunately, it was untapped before.
It was extremely untapped.
But then becomes our responsibility.
Yes,
to make sure that, and we're going to share all of this. Obviously, it's not a secret that we're going to keep it to ourselves. We want to share it with everybody.
Absolutely.
Because it's part of, giving back to the community is to share this knowledge so people can benefit from it.
At the end, you're a heritage preservation. Although you are selling dairy, but I'm imagining that the main goal here is to preserve heritage in a commercially sustainable way. And so it wouldn't make sense for you to keep all this information to yourself, because sharing that information helps others also help you in preserving that heritage. And finally, we want to know, this is our last question. I know I exhausted you with all this questioning, but what are some exclusive insights you can share with our listeners about camel milk, camels, or the camel dairy industry? And they can be things that are interesting to you personally. They don't have to necessarily be, extremely revealing moments. They could be things that you think are interesting.
Let me start with telling you how the team have come. Where did my team have came with the strategy? Because we went for a workshop to start to shape the strategy for Sawani company. Early days when we started all together, and that was in Al Ula actually.
Great.
Yes, we had a lot of inspiration from how Al Ula is really showcasing the heritage and the authenticity, and we were saying, how can we do this with our brand when we launch it? And honestly, I mean, you'll see a lot of this happening because Al Ula is a beautiful place of Saudi Arabia, and the way it was, showing the heritage yet in a contemporary way was an inspiring part for us. Back to your question about the camel milk, I think the big part that people are not understanding or seeing yet is the significant health benefits of it. And it's not a statement that I'm using because I'm leading this organization. Not on the contrary, it's a fact. Unfortunately, it's not communicated enough yet because we didn't have Noob before, but this is part of our strategy going forward to educate consumers about it. For me and my family, we at least consume 1 or 2 packs of camel milk every day. We've seen a significant impact on our health. My 2 boys are really athletes and they really do care about everything that they consume. So it's not like me pushing it to them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of CEOs of food companies don't consume their product.
We do, and honestly, I did not push it for my family at all from the beginning. But our fridge at home never went out of stock of this because they really saw the value of it in their nutrition. So I hope that we can get a lot of more people to understand the benefit of it, try it themselves and see the benefit on their health, and hopefully we can make it available for more and more consumers in Saudi Arabia and outside Saudi Arabia in the near future.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Ahmed.
No, thank you so much.
Honor
I
and
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating insights on the year of the camel with Al Ula FM podcasts.
The sound